Beruchim haboim, welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Das Samech Beis Amud Aleph at the new Mishnah. Min HaTorah, it is permissible for a person to go out on Shabbos with a malbush, either an article of clothing that is providing him protection from the elements, the cold or the heat or the rain, or is going to then give him certain kavod and provide tznius for the person's body, and those accessories that are enabling to wear that garment, as well as a tachshit that will provide an adornment for the person. If it is not considered to be a malbush, then it's also deraisa to go out with. It's considered to be a masa. Until now, the Mishnayos and our Gemara has discussed various things that midiraisa are permissible to go out with because they're considered to be a malbush. But midirabanan, there was a concern that a person might then be over an iser deraisa by wearing these things, and therefore they prohibited midirabanan. Our Mishnah says certain things that are masa, that are also to go out with midiraisa. Says the Mishnah, Lo teitze isha b'machat hanekuva. A woman shall not go out with a needle that has a hole on it. The top of the needle that has a hole is used for sewing, and therefore it's a masa, it's not a tachshit. V'lo betabas sheish aleh choisim. And a woman is not allowed to go out with a signet ring. V'lo bechulyar, and not to go out with a chulyar. The Gemara will define what a chulyar is. Certain clasps that then provide certain clothing to be closed on the top of the clothing, in addition to the regular clothing that is already closed. But these are additional clasps that are not considered to be a tachshit either. V'lo bekoiveles, and not koiveles. These are things that a woman goes out with to provide deodorant. V'lo betzluchi shel plaiton, and not a flask of plaiton. Things again that are oils that will smell good, which again are not considered to be a tachshit for the woman. V'im yotzesa chayeves chatos divrei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says in all of these things, when a woman goes out with on Shabbos, she is going to be over an iser diaraisa of hoitzah from Mishus HaYochid to Mishus HaRabim and chayev chatos. V'chachamim poitrin b'choiveles u'betzloichi shel plaiton. Whereas the chachamim say, although the previously mentioned things like the needle that is used for sewing, as well as the signet ring, will then cause a woman to go bichayev chatos, in addition to the kulyar. But the koiveles and the tzluchis, the chachamim argue and say, is not midiraisa in iser, but rather a concern midirabanan, that they were worried that a person may then do an iser deraisa of caring. But on themselves, they're not considered to be a masa, but rather a tachshit. That's a machlokes, Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim. The Gemara now goes on and says, in regard to the tabas that has a chaysim, what we call a signet ring, Omar ulo v'chilufein ba'ish, and they are opposite, they are switched when it comes to a man. In other words, that which we say in our Mishnah, that a woman cannot go out with a signet ring, otherwise it's midiraisa chayev chatos, a man is permitted midiraisa to go out with a signet ring. That which we know that a woman can go out midiraisa with a regular ring, only midirabanan they said is aser. A man cannot go out even midiraisa with a regular ring. Alma, says the Gemara, Kesavar Ula, Kol Midi Dechazi Liish, Loichazi Liisha. That which is fitting for a man, for example, the signet ring, that's not fitting for a woman, and therefore she's chayev chatos. Umi Dechazi Liisha, Lochazi Liish. And that which is fitting, namely a regular ring for a woman, and therefore she's allowed to go out, only the Rabbanan, they were worried that she would take it off to show somebody and may walk Dalet Amos in the Rishus HaRabim. Therefore it's also midirabanan, but it's muter midiraisa. Lo chazi liish, for a man it would be also diraisa. Ask the Gemara, Mosiv Rav Yosef, if you're going to say that which is fitting for a man is not fitting for a woman, but is chayiv diraisa, and vice versa, ask Rav Yosef from the following brisa: Haroim yotzim besakin. the shepherds, they go out with sackcloth. When it's raining, they put on sackcloth in order to protect themselves from the rain. So also when it is not raining, it's considered to be a malbush for them. But as the Brisa V'loi haroim bilvad, omru, ela kol adam, not only is it the shepherds that can now go out with sackcloth, but even regular people who do not normally wear sackcloth at all, it's considered to be a malbush for them as well. Ela shedarkan shel haroim latzeis besakin. So we see that even though it's a derech for the shepherds to go out with, that's enough to allow others to also then be permitted to go out with, in this case, a sackcloth. So that then challenges that which Ula said, because if indeed that is true, then why is it going to be prohibited for a man to go out with a regular ring? Elo ma Rav Yosef kisover Ula noshim am bifnei atzmon hein. Says Rav Yosef, that's because Ula holds that women are a nation to themselves. And therefore, as a result, women, you cannot learn and say that women should be the same as the case that we just brought when it comes to the shepherds, because women have a whole different world to themselves vis-a-vis men. And therefore, the fact that women can go out with rings doesn't mean that men would be unable to go out with rings. Says the Gemara, Esvei Abaye Hamoitze Tefillin Machnisin Zug Zug Echad Aish ve'echad Aisha. It says that if one finds tefillin in a shuk, in a place where the tefillin can be ruined, and now it's Shabbos, so you can then go ahead and wear the tefillin. There's several pairs of tefillin that say you can wear a pair of tefillin, then go into a Reshus HaYachid where it's safe and place it down there in the house. Go back to the shuk, put on the tefillin, and then go ahead and walk it to the house and then take them off in the house. Both a man can do that as well as a woman. And that seems to imply that since it's permitted for a man to wear, so it will even enable a woman to wear it too. The Amris Noshim Am B'fnei Atzman. However, if you will say that women are a nation unto themselves, behold, we know there's a principle when it comes to a mitzvah aseh that is a time-bound mitzvah. Only a man is obligated, a woman is not obligated. And therefore, the assumption over here that tefillin is a mitzvah aseh shazman groma. Because mitzvah aseh shazman groma noshim peturos. So why is it over here that the tefillin that are worn by a man as a mitzvah aseh shazman groma, as an ornament, can also then be put on a woman and be worn by her as well? It must be that even though they're not shaykh to a woman, that a man can wear them, that permits a woman also to be wearing them. And therefore you see that women are not an am b'fnei atzmon. Answers the Gemara, Hasam kesova Rabbi Meir, Laila zman tefillin hu, v'Shabbos zman tefillin hu. This is according to the sheet of Rabbi Meir that says that Shabbos is a zman tefillin as well as Laila is zman tefillin. Therefore, it's not a mitzvah aseh hazman groma. It's not a time-bound mitzvah, but rather it's a mitzvah that is a mitzvah aseh that even women are obligated to do. And therefore, they're enabled to then wear the tefillin and take them out from a place like a shuk where they're endangered, to then wear them as a tachshit to the Reshus HaYachid. Havale V'ha asked the Gemara, Hoitzos kala achar yatu. Now the Gemara goes back and says, when it regards to the tabas that has a signet ring, and we said that midiaraisa, a woman is not allowed to go out with that signet ring. Ask the Gemara, V'ha, behold, Hoitzos kala achar yadu. If the woman is wearing it around her finger, the signet ring, why is she chayev chatos? If it is considered to be a masa, not a tachshit, then the normal way of carrying would be holding it in one's hand. The fact that she's wearing it on her finger implies that it's a shinui, whereby she'd only be also dirabanan, not a chayev chatas midiraisa. Omar Rav Yirmiyahu beisha gizboris askin. Rav Yirmiyahu says our Mishnah is speaking about a woman who is a gizboris, a certain treasurer, whereby for her she wears a signet ring to then do her duties by then putting stamps on certain packages that she has to send out, whereby she does wear such a ring. and because she wears such a ring, that's a normal way of wearing. However, it's not considered to be a tachshit, whereby if she goes out, a woman goes out with such a ring on Shabbos, then she'll be chayiv chatos. So this treasurer, right, if she were to go out with a ring, such a treasure, a signet ring on Shabbos, would be chayiv chatos. That's how Rabbi Yirmiyahu explains our Mishnah. Omar Rabbi taratz the isha. This is a good answer for a woman who cannot go out with a signet ring. But isha ma'ika lemema. What about a man going out with a regular ring, which would also be chayiv chatos? That won't explain that. Elomar Rava. Rather, Rava says the explanation is as follows: Pe'omim she'odam noisin li'ishtoi tabas sheish alea choisim lo helicha lekufso umenichosa biyoda ad shamagas lekufso. Sometimes a man gives to his wife a tabas, and that has a signet on it, to then be brought to a chest to put in for safekeeping. And what does she do? She doesn't put it in her hand. She actually wears it on her finger. So therefore, if such a tabas would be then walked out on Shabbos, a woman would be chayiv chatos. And since it's a typical way of wearing it, even for a woman, again, it's considered to be not a abnormal and not a shinui when she puts it on her finger. Upe'omim, and the opposite direction, she'a'isha noisenes labaylo taba she'en alea choisim lo helicha etzel uman lesaken umenicha biyodoi asher magia etzel uman. And sometimes a woman will give her regular ring to her husband to then bring it to a craftsman to fix. Now, he wouldn't just carry it in his hand, he would put it on his finger until he gets to the shop and gives it to the craftsman to fix. So you see that a man who will go out on Shabbos with a ring on his finger, it's not considered to be a shinui, and therefore if he goes out with such a ring, which is not considered to be a tachshit for him, will be chayiv chatos. Says the Gemara, bringing the next items in our Mishnah that a woman cannot go out with, v'lo bechulyar, v'lo bechoveles. My chulyar, the Gemara wants to identify what is a chulyar. Omarav machbanta is a golden or silver clasp that if a woman's blouse that needs an extra tying, she takes a gold or silver clasp and she puts it on. Now, normally it wasn't necessary, and she would then do this to show her ashirus, her wealth, and therefore it's not considered to be a regular tachshit that a woman would go out with, whereby she's chayiv chatos. The Mishnah says koveles. If a woman goes out with koveles, she's going to be chayiv chatos. Omrav chumrosa de pilon. Rav identifies this as bundles, either gold or silver type of bundles that hold pilon. Pilon is our types of good smelling herbs or oils. The Chomar V'asi chumrosa de pilon. V'asi also defines this as types of bundles that hold these good smelling herbs. The Gemara now brings a brisa. Tanu Rabbanan lo teitze b'choveles. A woman shall not go out with the choveles that we just defined as these bundles. V'im yotzes chayev chatos. Div Rabbi Meir. If she does go out on Shabbos with them, Rabbi Meir says she's chayev chatos. V'chacham oimrim lo teitze v'im yotzes petura. The chacham argue and say she shall not go out with them. Lechatchila, if she does, however, she's over an iser d'rabbanan. It's poter aval oser. Rabbi Eliezer oimer yoytze isha kechoveles v'choveles lichatchila. According to Rabbi Eliezer, she can even go out with this choveles lichatchila. Ask the Gemara, my kav miflegi, what is the machlokes in Rabbi Meir, the Chacham, and Rabbi Eliezer? As follows: Rabbi Meir sovar masoi hu. Rabbi Meir says she's chayiv chatos because it's a masui. It's considered to be a load, a burden, and therefore she's chayiv chatos. Rabbanan savre tachshit hu. The dil meshalfo mechayo va'asya le'esuye. It is a tachshit according to Rabbanan. However, because she may take it off to show her friends and walk dalat amos mishus harabim, the Chacham answered it. The Rabbi Eliezer sover mandarka lemirme. What is the way of a woman to put such a thing on? Isha shereicha ra, a woman who has bad odor. Isha sherecha ra lo shofa muchuya v'lo asil asui arba amas d'b'shus harabim. Such a woman is not going to be feeling comfortable to take it off to show her friends. She'll be embarrassed. And therefore, there's not a concern, says Rabbi Eliezer, for her to take it off. And therefore, as a tachshit, she may go into the Rishus Harabim lichatchila with this choivelis. Ask the Gemara, Vahatanya, you just told me that Rabbi Eliezer says lichatchila, you can go out, a woman can go out with a choivelis. Behold, it says in the Brisa otherwise. Rabbi Eliezer poite bechoivelis ubetzluchi shel plaiton. Rabbi Eliezer says that a choivelis and sluchis are potter, mashman, it's also midirabanan. Answers the Gemara, Lokasha, it's not a difficulty. Hakoi ad Rabbi Meir, hakoi ad Rabban. One statement is Rabbi Eliezer speaking to Rabbi Meir, and the other one is a statement that Rabbi Eliezer speaks to the Rabbanon as follows. Ki koi ad Rabbi Meir, when he's speaking to Rabbi Meir who says it's chayiv chatos to go out with the choiveles, domer chayiv chatos omar le potter. So he says it's potter even though he holds it's mutar lechatchila. But in contrast, Rabbi Meir is not chayiv chatos, so he says potter. Ki koi ad Rabbanon. However, when he's speaking to the Rabbanon who say that it's chayiv, it's potter midrabanon, the Amrei Potter, Aval Osir, Amrei Ihu Mutar Lechatchila. So Rabbi Eliezer says that it's Mutar Lechatchila. Ask the Gemara, Umay Rabbi Meir, where do we find that indeed Rabbi Eliezer was speaking to Rabbi Meir, where Rabbi Meir says it's Chayiv Chatos, and there's no Rabbanon in the picture that say it's Potter Aval Osir, and Rabbi Eliezer challenges Rabbi Meir and says that it's Potter. Where do we find that? Explains the Gemara with the following Brisa, Desanya, Lo Teitze Isho b'mafteach shebiyada. A woman shall not go out with a key on her hand. V'im yatzos chayav chatos. Di Rabbi Meir. And if she does go out with this mafteach, with this key, then she's going to be chayav chatos, says Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Eliezer poiter b'choiveles ubetzluchi shel plaiton. Rabbi Eliezer says if she goes out with choiveles and tzluchis, a flask of a plaiton, that are good smelling oils, then she's going to be potter. Ask the Gemara, Choiveles man dechar shma. What was Rabbi Eliezer mentioning Choiveles after Rabbi Meir is talking about something else entirely? He's talking about a mafteach. So what mentioning is the Choiveles to do with this? To which the Gemara explains, Chasui mechasra. There is a missing piece in this brisa that we have to fill in. The hachi ketani, and this is how you have to teach it. V'chein, when Rabbi Meir said that a woman cannot go out with a mafteach, he also added v'chein b'choiveles v'chein b'tzluchis shel plaitin lo teitze. Also with these things, the choiveles and the sluchis shel plaitin, as well as the mafteach, she cannot go out with, says Rabbi Meir. V'im yatsa chayeves chatos, di Rabbi Meir. And if she does go out with one of these things, she'll be chayev chatos. Rabbi Eliezer poiter bechoiveles v'tzluchi shel plaiton. Whereas Rabbi Eliezer says she would be potter with the choiveles and tzluchi shel plaiton. And by the way, we said that meant that really lechatchila she can go out with. But in contrast to Rabbi Meir, he said potter. Ba'med devar mamurim. When is this so? Kisheyesh bohem boisem. This is when they have boisem. They have a different type of perfumes, some herbs in it, says Rabbi Eliezer. Then it'll be poiter, and again, that will be mutar lechatchila according to the sheet of Rabbi Eliezer. Aval ein bohem boisem chayeves. However, if they're empty, then Rabbi Eliezer agrees that she would be chayeves if she goes out with the choiveles or the sluchi shel plaiton without anything inside. Omer Rav Ade bar Ahavo, zois oimeris. This means to say, hamoitzi oichlin pachos mikishiur bikli chayav. That if a person goes out with a piece of food less than the shear, he's chayav chatos. The Gemara will explain later, midiaraisa, to be chayiv for taking out a piece of food. In order to have chashivus, the shear is a grogeris, a dried fig. And yet it says over here that if it's inside of a kli, even if it's less than the shear of a grogeris, it's going to be chayiv. Because we see from the fact that if the fact that there's no boisem in the kli, we see that the kli is still going to be chayiv, whereby the kli does not become tofil to the boisem. So too, the kli is not tofil to the food that we're also taking out, whereby a person will be chayiv chatas because of the kli. The ha ein boisem kepachas mikishir b'kli dami v'ktani chayeves, because the boisem, there's no boisem, and therefore it's pachas mikshir. Why is she chayiv chatas? Because of the kli, which is not tofil. So too, once again, if a person goes out with some food inside of a kli that's less than the shir, we'll also say that the kli is going to mechayiv the person for hoitzah on Shabbos because the kli is not tofil. Says the Gemara, Rav Ashi Omar be'alma emalach potter. No, indeed the kli is tofil, and therefore if there's a food that is less than a shir of a girl geris, she will not, or a person will not be chayiv for hoitzah because the kli is tofil. But why over here is it different? Because shiny hacha the leise lemamosha. Here there's no boisim whatsoever. The kli is empty. It just has the leftover smell, which doesn't have any mamoshos. Therefore, the kli is not tofil, and the person is chayiv chatas for going out with this kli.